Oh, hello, YouTube. We're back again with Season 2, Episode 6 of MAYFAIR Witches. So we had a little bit of a break between Episodes 5 and Episode 6. I thought maybe, hey, we're gonna hit the ground running in Episode 6. It's gonna be really cool. And it was not. It's just cryptic magical bullshit being the only driving factor to move the story forward. Like, even all of the characters are confused 90% of the time, and there's like no payoff. And like, I get that from a storytelling perspective, you need a sense of mystery or conflict to move the story forward. You have to have that. But it's like when every source of an information in the show is obfuscated and then turns into an amorphous blob of cryptic magical bullshit, it's just not enough to hold attention. You have to have something actually happen. All right, I'm gonna get down off my soapbox. Let's just talk about what happened in this actual episode. So the episode Michaelmas starts off with Rowan, Moira, Lark, and Cortland all on their way to Scotland. And TLDR on this whole trip to Scotland, I'm just gonna get to the good parts because along this trip, there's just like a lot of setbacks, okay? Like they get a flat tire in the car, which is like suspicious that they get a flat tire just at that point so they can't escape or get to where they need to go. And they realize, okay, we'll just walk the last few miles into Kilbride, the town they're trying to get to. Like, the townspeople are unhelpful. Like, things go missing. People go missing. They get lost. It's like a whole thing. And, like, I get it. They need conflict in the story to move it forward. But here's the thing, you can't only have conflict. You have to have some type of resolution at a certain point. Because right now we're not getting anything and the show is failing. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm back on my soapbox. Whew. Okay, I'm focusing, I swear. So, the whole town of Kilbride, they are having like this big pagan-ass celebration festival in town. And there's allegedly supposed to be celebrating Michaelmas, which is like a Catholic holiday in honor of the Archangel Michael. However, the Kilbride celebration doesn't look all that Catholic to anybody, and that's because the MAYFAIR puts a lot of money into this festival every year so that it's all pagan-y and stuff. And the look of Kilbride is very reminiscent of arguably much better films, like i.e. The Wicker Man, Midsommar. Like, they're not even really being subtle about it. It's quite obvious the imagery they're using here. And they're trying to figure out where to go, what to do. Let's find some clues. And Moira's here using her mind reading powers. And she picks up on like this strange hooded figure in the crowd. And she overhears the word Taltos in his mind. She's like, oh, this is a lead. So she takes off and she's following this red hooded cloaked figure all over town. And then she ends up getting into like this little pub. And it's the same pub that Julian hangs out in inside of his Victrola. So obviously something is afoot here. And I'll just tell you right now, we don't see Moira again for the rest of the episode. She is just missing. And after Moira goes missing, like, their trip gets even worse. Like, again, the police, anybody in the town, no one's willing to help them. They're like, my cousin's fucking missing, and they don't care. They try to like go to the hotel finally. They're like, whatever, we'll just check in the hotel, we'll regroup. Unsurprisingly, the hotel has lost their reservation. Doesn't exist. I don't know what to tell you. Can't help you. Uh-oh. But you know what? Hey, I'll get you a ride with this guy named Hamish, and he'll take you to like the other hotel. Like, this is the most help they've gotten from anybody. And all of this like confusion at the festival goes on for frankly a lot of the episode. So let's just put a pin in it for now. Let's go check in on Lasher. What has he been up to this whole time? So he has been locked up in like the MAYFAIR castle, and he's like scared. He doesn't know what's going on. Why are you locking me in a room by myself? I only know one person here who's Albrecht, and he hasn't told me shit. Like, he's really confused and scared with like due purpose. Like, he's not in a good place here. And he kind of hears someone outside, and it's Ian's sons, Abel and Enos, and they're like trying to like look through the peephole and like try to catch a glimpse of Lasher. Maybe they're very curious. And one of the sons, Abel, seems to be a bit sympathetic to Lasher's plight here. And so Lasher allows him to like come inside and talk to him. And so Abel tells him, hey bro, okay, so you're Saint Ashler, right? you're he who comes again, and you're one of the last Taltos. Because guess what, bro? We have another Taltos, and she's a lady, and like, you're gonna go marry each other tomorrow. Like, we found you a mate. Like, this is a good thing. And Lasher doesn't really believe him. He's like, you have a female for me? Okay, let me see the proof. And Abel's like, all right, cool. I get it. You want to see her. I'll take you to her, but you have to wear restraints, bro. Like, trust me. And so Lasher's like, okay, fine. Like, Abel's at least being nice to him. So Abel takes him out to like this field in the woods. And Lasher looks out and he sees this very mysterious veiled woman riding a literal cow with like two handmaidens with her. And Lasher kind of goes a little feral over this. Like, he could like smell her, and he knows like smells of like a lady he could have sex with. And he's like, oh my God. So hence the restraints. Otherwise he would just run off and start mating. And the woman gets off the cow. She seems to have more self-restraint. And she just goes ahead and starts milking this cow, and sends the milkmaid over to Lasher so he can just have himself some fresh milk right out the cow. I swear, this milk thing is so fucking gross. So anyway, this woman on the cow, her name is Emeleth. In the book, there are actually two different Emeleths, okay? There's OG Emeleth and Emeleth 2.0. And Emeleth 2.0 cannot exist in the show. Emeleth 2.0 is actually Lasher's and Rowan's biological baby, who's also a Taltos. Ew, am I right? And they've left that out of the show, thank goodness. But then again, who knows? This episode is basically taking a lot of historical events from the book and characters from the book and then putting them into a present day blender. So who knows where this is gonna go? So I might be spoiling some things, but they're from the book in particular. And the book has been out for about 40 years at this point. I think the time for spoilers is over, but just be aware, you might hear some things here because I'm gonna explain about Emeleth. So what's going on in the present in the show seems a whole lot like what happened to Lasher the first time he was alive, like his first human life. Witches and certain males with certain genetics can have a baby and then it accidentally is a Taltos. And Lasher was one of those oopsie babies. So in his first life, Lasher's biological parents were the Earl of Donleith, that makes sense, we're in Donleith, and Anne Boleyn. Yeah, that Anne Boleyn, the only one that we know of from history. So after he pops out a full-grown man baby, Anne can't raise him. She's like, this is gonna be a problem. So Earl of Donleith goes, hey, I'll take him. He takes Lasher, sends him to Rome immediately to study to become a priest. And then years and years later, when the time was right, the Earl sends his son, aka Lasher's like biological half-brother, to go pick him up and bring him back to Donleith so he can come be the town priest. And when Lasher gets to town, that's when he meets the OG Emeleth, who just so happens to be his biological half-sister. Now, OG Emeleth smells just scrumptious to Lasher. So OG Emeleth is likely a witch who is genetically compatible enough to successfully mate with him, but OG Emeleth is not here about to fuck her brother. She's like, hell no, you keep your hands to yourself, sir. And OG Emeleth is actually really cool because, like, low-key, she may have been like a Talamasca spy? I might not be using the right terminology, but like that's the vibe here. Because she's like, Lasher, you need to get the hell out of Donleith, okay? They don't want you to be a priest. They want to sacrifice you to like bless the town. And like, you should meet my friend. And she like brings out her friend who is a Talamasca agent. He'll help smuggle you out of Donleith so you'll be safe, but you gotta go right now. But Lasher doesn't believe her. And also he's like a little bit paranoid about the Talamasca like following him. So he's like, I'm not dealing with this. And he runs off to daddy to go be town priest. And then, wouldn't you know, the town proceeds to force Lasher to mate with a deformed Taltos woman. And the way it's described in the book, that it's like this woman was like a troll doll that ran at Lasher vagina first on the dining room table. And that is one of the most absurd sentences I have ever said in my life. And so they just start mating immediately on the dining room table at a banquet. And the thing about Taltos is like when two Taltos like mate with each other, they go from conception to birth in a matter of like a couple minutes. Like babies are popping out like fucking gremlins, okay? It's real fast. And so like, then it's just like a Taltos gangbang and they're all boning each other until they have like a whole bunch of Taltos. And then the town like captures them all and takes them out into a clearing and stones and burns them to death. And then that's how Lasher died and became a spirit. But yeah, Lasher's story is kind of cuckoo bananas. I think they might be trying to do that now, even though that happened in like medieval times in the books. I think this is where we're going moving forward. They're trying to make more Taltos babies to sacrifice. I'm not sure how far they're gonna go with it, like banging the dining room table into a Taltos orgy. I don't think that'll happen in the show, but who fucking knows at this point? Anyway, back to the show. So all of that happens. Lasher is very excited. He just saw Amaleth, and later that night, Abel like brings him back to the castle. And Abel is genuinely trying to be kind to Lasher here. And he's like trying to gas him up. He's like, hey, you're a Taltos. You're a magical being who only wants to create life. And like, guess what? We got a wife for you, bro. So you could go create life and do your own thing. However, Lasher is understandably very traumatized by sex, because all of the women he's had sex with have bled to death right in front of him. And he's like, no, I don't want to kill more women with my penis. And he like tries to run away. He doesn't escape because there's nowhere to go. And Abel's like, oh, okay, bro, listen. I get it. You're scared. I'll take you to a place that's going to help you understand better. Okay. We're not trying to get you to hurt people. And then that's where Lasher's story ends in this episode. We don't know where he takes him next. I'm sure we'll find that out next episode. So why don't we go check in on Rowan? What's been going on with her and the crew? So Moira definitely missing. They don't know what to do. They need someone to help them and they need somewhere to regroup. So they end up reluctantly taking that ride with Hamish, and they proceed to have like the creepiest ride of their lives in this random truck with a random dude they don't know who's just blasting heavy metal music the entire time. Like Hamish won't talk to them or answer any of their questions or tell them where they're going. Like all of this is like serial killer behavior and they're just stuck with it. Like, oh, let's hope he doesn't murder us. But luckily enough, Hamish is not a serial killer and he does arrive at a location that could be a hotel. It's not a hotel. It's the Mayfair Castle. And guess who's waiting to meet them? Uncle Ian, right there ready for him. It's been expecting them because Hamish is Ian's son. Maybe not his favorite son because they seem to have a fraught relationship, but his son nonetheless. And obviously Rowan is not happy about being kidnapped at this point and brought here against her will. And she's not happy with any of the circumstances around them. And Lark is like the voice of reason here. He's like, these people are so fucking weird. We should not stay here. But Rowan's like, no, we have to stay here. It's our only chance to maybe find Moira and Lasher. And this part of the episode gets even more vague, but like vague in an interesting way, which is an important distinction because Ian and Cortland go off for some brotherly time. And it seems really ominous because they were not friends as children. They've never been friends. Ian and Cortland seem to have both realized certain things about their relationship with each other and their relationships with Julian. That Julian seemed to have pit both of them against each other even though they're brothers. Ian doesn't seem happy about this. He seems very resentful towards Julian the same way Cortland is resentful towards Julian. So they do have like a certain common ground here where they're like, none of us know what's going on except for Julian, and he's fucking dead in a Victrola. However, I really liked the scene between them because it kind of turns Ian more into like a wild card character. You think he's a villain, but like maybe he's doing something else here because Ian doesn't actually exist in the books. He's like completely just made up for this show. And I can only assume Ian's endgame is similar to the past events that there seem to be doing now, but the show also hasn't told us what Julian's plan was in this context. So I actually liked this bit of the mystery. I like the wild card aspect where you're not sure where it's gonna go, but the other side of that is like, oh my god, why don't any of the characters know what's going on? Someone needs to be at the wheel, okay? No one's driving right now. And while all that like brotherly bonding is going on, that leaves Rowan and Lark to snoop about the house. Rowan eventually meets this little girl named Bonnie, who's like equal parts like adorable little girl and also creepy little girl, because she's also living in a house that looks haunted as shit, and she's building little creepy dolls and like talking about magic and saints. So I don't know how to feel about Bonnie here. I think she's a victim of circumstance, but Bonnie's finally the one person who tells Rowan who the fuck Saint Ashlar is, because he's like the patron saint of Kilbride. He protects us from Satan, and he comes back again and again. And she gives her the little like saint card, and wouldn't you know, that's Lasher's face on it, and that's old. This wasn't printed recently. So obviously they have told stories about Lasher for some time. It just makes it more confusing for Rowan. But before Rowan can learn anything else, Ian, Cortland, they all join him up in Bonnie's like little playroom. Ian kind of fills him in a little bit. He's like, what do you know about Taltos and stuff? And he tells him like, hey, Lasher's getting married to Emeleth tomorrow. It's gonna be like a really cool thing. And together they're gonna bring back the Taltos species. La la la, cryptical, magical bullshit, etc. And Rowan has finally just had it with this song and dance. She's like, oh my god, can I just take a vial of Lasher's blood and get the fuck out of here so I can save my sister? Like, I don't care who you marry him to and how many babies you make. Just let me have some of his blood. Ian doesn't believe her that all she wants is a vial of blood. He's like, no. You're here because you're greedy and you know Lasher's gonna give blessings to the family and you just want to keep them all for yourself. And Rowan, she decides, okay, you know what? I'm pulling out the big guns here. And she starts using her magic to try to like fiddle around with his insides and make him sick or like not able to breathe. But when she does so, the only person who gets hurt is Bonnie. So apparently what had happened is the Scottish side of the family has like spelled themselves together in a way that if anyone attacks them magically, only one person in the family gets hurt. And they take turns every year, and this year just happens to be Bonnie's year. So if Rowan tries to hurt Ian, she's going to be only hurting Bonnie, who is like 10. And since Rowan isn't gonna like stand there and kill a child who's innocent in all this, she's kind of fucking stuck there till she can figure out a way to get around Ian and get what she needs and then get the fuck out of there. So after that, everyone just kind of disperses and Lark and Rowan are left to like wander around the party that's going on at the castle and like try to figure out clues. Rowan's like, you know what? I'm gonna try to get Hamish on my side because he's kind of the black sheep of the family. So she's like, hey, listen, I will help you get out of Scotland. If you want to go to school, you want to come to the United States, like I got more money than I know what to do with. Like I just need you to tell me where Moira is because she's my cousin and she's missing. And Hamish does kind of like Rowan. I think she's at least nice to him. And he tells her like, hey, if I were you, I'd probably start with searching the tunnels in the basement. But like, that's all I can tell you. He's still skittish about her, but at least he gave her a clue. And while Rowan is working with Hamish, Lark was left to his own devices in a house full of pagan witches. And poor Lark, like he just learned that magic and witchcraft are real and now he is chest deep in it. He's just sitting there trying to talk to someone who doesn't horrify him right off the bat. But Larkin doesn't really end up getting any information from anybody. Only thing that happens to him is Ian's daughter flashes vag at him, which is uncomfortable, and then he finds like this really gross mask, and it's not just any mask. This is a mask of Albrecht's literal face, except it's not really a mask. It's literally Albrecht's actual face. They peeled his face off of his body and people are wearing it as a human skin mask at this fucking party. Like, what in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre is happening? Later that night, Lark and Rowan, they finally meet back up with each other in like the room they're staying in. And Lark is like, Rowan, we need to get the fuck out of here ASAP because like this whole place is a Scottish Chainsaw Massacre waiting to happen, okay? People are wearing literal human faces and your family is full of fucking lunatics, okay? This is a trap. We should not be here. Let's fucking go. But Rowan tells him, no, I don't care. It's a trap. I have to protect my family. I'm going to like beat them at their own game, which is Rowan's, you know, critical defect is that she's always thinks she can beat anybody and she's smarter than everybody and can like solve every problem by herself, which she fucking can't. It's her fatal flaw. But Lark is in love with her, so she's like, all right, fine, I'll stay. And then they proceed to have sexy times in this like random room. And then after the sexy times, Lark, he's asleep. I guess he wore himself out. And Rowan sneaks off to the basement to go through the tunnels, see what she can find, what are the clues here. But as soon as she gets into the tunnels, someone on the outside closes the door and locks her into the tunnels. And it is none other than Hamish himself. Although he doesn't look particularly happy to be doing it. And it's really unclear if he's like trapping her in these tunnels for nefarious purposes or because he's trying to protect her, because blackout, that's where the episode ends. So here we are at the end of the episode of just cryptic magical nonsense, references to better films and just magical mysteries. I don't know. Nothing's really being confirmed. There's no direct way this is going. It's just like a lot of little clues with no payoff. And I'm assuming eventually there'll be payoff, but you can't edge an audience this many episodes with nothing happening. But I don't know, maybe that's just me. Let me know in the comments down below, do you like the drawn out mystery? Or would you rather them get to a fucking point already? It's taking too long. If you like this video, make sure you give it a like. If you want to see more videos, make sure you subscribe. And if you want cool exclusive content, including early access to videos or a book club, you can consider becoming a channel member or a patron. Links for that are in the description down below. And on that note, I'll see you guys soon. Goodbye.